Welcome to the Startup Grind.
Background on Startup Grind. Started about 3 years ago. Very casually, some founders in Mountain View would get together and just kind of share their stories with each other. And it sort of evolved from there, where they would actually bring in local, more prominent founders to share their stories with everybody. And over the past 9 months, maybe a year, this thing has exploded. We're literally in 40 cities around the globe, and places like, we just launched in Tunisia, of all places. And we're in Dubai and Sydney and Melbourne, London, Chicago, Austin, just launched in San Antonio, Kansas City. So this thing has taken off. But really at its core, what we're trying to do is very, very simple. It's just to inspire and educate and connect folks like you. Before we get started, I just want to make a couple announcements. I've got, first of all, one of our sponsors, Moon Meals. And LaForest, if you could, just kind of describe what you do and how you do it. And I hope everybody had a chance to taste test his burritos.
It's a small room, so my voice breaks. Again, my name is LaForest, and our company is Moon Meals. That was a delicious organic burrito that you just had. Moon Meals is a late-night, healthy, organic meal delivery service for downtown Chicago. So we're giving you an alternative to pizza, bad Chinese food when you're working late at night. We've serviced Google, Jones Lang LaSalle, Kirkland Ellis, Ernst & Young, a lot of high-stress industries, and technology is one of them. We've been to Groupon as well, servicing a lot of high-stress industries, giving them a better alternative when they're working late. I founded this. I used to work in marketing as a marketing consultant, worked late 3 times a week. I got tired of eating pizza and stuff and gaining a ton of weight there, and so I founded this company. Now there's 5 of us. We do on average 2,000 meals a month. We're a startup. We're not even a year old in operation. We started in June of last year. We were founded in January last year. So that's us. If you want more information about us, or you want to sample other things on our menu, let us know. And yeah, let me know if you have questions. Thanks.
Cool. I know I've been talking about Google Glass quite a bit in all the emails that I've been sending everybody, and everybody here will be able to test drive Google Glass, promise. So in order to sort of carry that out, I've got another guest over here, Zach Price, and I'll let him sort of explain what we're doing with Google Glass. It's pretty cool, and again, everybody here will get a chance to test drive.
Yeah, so there was some contests on Twitter, I guess, and Google Plus that, on Twitter is how I won it. It had the hashtag, if I had glass, what would you do with Google Glasses? So I saw it and just immediately thought, if I had glass, I would give athletes the Google Glass to wear and play sports and kind of record and stream video live to fans around the world. So they liked it and said, did I get to pay $1,500 and fly to San Francisco or New York? So I'm officially Google Glass Explorer, but as soon as I get it, and I know some people are getting them tomorrow, I'm hoping they ship them out soon, and then I'll go get it, bring it back here, and give everyone a try. I look forward to hearing everyone's different ideas of what they would use it for. Mine was sports, but I mean, there's tons of things you can do.
Yeah, and I'm actually an Explorer as well, so I'll share mine with everybody, and you're going to be documenting everything, right, and kind of maybe even putting it together into a book or something?
Yeah, I'm blogging about it for bplans.com. I do a blog there, so I'm going to be posting about Google Glass, the type of stuff that I'm going to be doing, the type of stuff, ideas you guys have, and yeah, I mean, I'll probably turn it into an ebook. My company that operates here in 1871, it's an ebook publishing company. So I'm turning a lot of blogs into ebooks, and I'll be doing it probably with this Google Glass project.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right, thanks. So we're trying to schedule everybody and come here. I don't know if it'll be at 1871, I'm assuming. And again, everybody will get a test drive. So now, the moment everybody's been waiting for. For those that have been here in the past, you know sort of our routine when we welcome our guests to our fireside chat. We like to give them a rousing round of applause. And so literally want everybody to jump up, scream, shout, and yell. Are you ready?
He's freaked out.
So let me take this moment to introduce Seyi Fabode, the founder of Power2Switch. All right, let's hear it.
Is this on?
So welcome. Appreciate you coming. So we've been doing this now. I think this is our 5th or 6th startup ride, and just through my experience in getting to know some of the founders that have come here, is that there seems to be a common thread with all of them, and it's something, I don't know if it's genetic or whatever it is, but it's something that even as a kid, you start thinking about, you know, starting up something or doing something or what have you. So why don't we kind of go way back into the Wayback Machine and tell us a little bit about, you know, where you're from, where you grew up, and when you started thinking about entrepreneurship.
Okay, so I'll probably break that trend then, because I'd say I didn't start thinking about it until not too long ago. But one thing I did do growing up, I'm Nigerian. I grew up in Nigeria. My dad was an accountant. He was an economist, then became an accountant, then started his own business. My mom was a teacher. But one thing they both did that I'm pretty sure has led to all this is they instilled a deep love of books. And my mom was around a few months ago. She actually came to the office, and the guys were like, tell us a story about him, because similar, they expected it to be me trying to sell stuff. She was like, one thing I remember him doing a lot was he would read all these books and then follow you around the house and summarize it for you. Try to tell you the whole story in a few words, just trying to make you also know what he now knew. And at the core of it, that is really what Power2Switch is. We take information from this industry no one really cares about or knows much about. It's confusing, it's an overload of data, and we make it simple. We make it simple for you so you're educated enough to make a decision about it. So, and that's been the thread for me, just this desire to learn, share. So I strongly believe, and the team strongly believe as well, that when people know better, they do better. And that's sort of been my mantra. So I never had a lemonade stand. I never tried to, I wasn't the kid in school who sold stuff to his classmates or anything. One thing I do remember doing a lot was sharing information.
Yeah.
And at the core, that's what this business does. So.
Got it.
Yeah.
Now, I know you're a little bit unusual too, in the sense that you had a fairly long, successful business career before Power2Switch.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that, you know, how you got into this energy thing.
Yeah, so I'm a manufacturing systems engineer. Did that in the UK, and a big thing happened when I finished. Manufacturing moved from everywhere else in the world to China, and so I was stuck with this awesome degree from this really good university, and I needed to find an industry where operations and systems and just management of processes was also quite important, and found myself at this privately owned power station in the UK, which is still, as far as I can tell, the biggest I've seen. And they were expanding and starting to sell some of the power they were generating to on the spot market. So they needed someone who could take the plant as it was and determine what would be required to get it to a point where they could start to sell a bit more on the spot markets and on the exchanges and to off-takers. I won't bore you with the dry parts of the industry, but it was a really good experience for me. It was, I was taking all this stuff I'd learned and applying it to a totally separate industry, which I started to really enjoy because we take it for granted that there's power in here right now. The stuff that goes on behind the scenes when you switch on the lights here would blow your mind. It's just, but we pay no attention till we don't have it. And that is what we're trying to change as a business. And so I did that for a few years. Successful company, was financed by some banks, and then they sold it to a private equity company. And then I moved from there, excuse me, I moved from there to an energy brokerage firm, which was doing essentially what Power2Switch now does, but it was for big box retailers. Like Walmart would put all their locations across Illinois, for example. This was in the UK, but as an example, they put all their locations on the platform for the suppliers to come bid. And it was big box retail, and I was just absolutely fascinated by how much was going on a day-to-day basis, allowing these big box retailers to save money on their power, have a bit of control over how much they were spending, and did that for a couple of years as well. Met my now wife, who's from Dallas. She was consulting in the UK, and most people ask me, did you move to the US for school or stuff? No, I straight up moved because she was moving back home.
Wow.
And quit my job, applied to business school, quit my job, and probably one of the biggest, easily the biggest decision I've ever made in my life, not thought through at all. It was all based on emotion, but I'm the better for it now. And we'd come to visit Chicago a few times, absolutely love the city, decided we both live here, and started to try to figure out what I'd do. Realized, well, I know this much about the electricity industry, and realized the power sector here in Illinois and a few other states was where the UK model was about 5 years ago. And so it was plain and simple to me.
So, was it at that point that you started formulating this whole?
Yeah,
Wow.
It was at that point. I shared a spreadsheet, a Google document with some of the guys who just joined the team a few days ago, and it was about 10 worksheets with the numbers behind this idea, and it was in 2008.
Wow.
And I still keep those things because fundamentally the idea hasn't changed. We've had to take different paths, but the vision is to educate people to the point where they feel comfortable making the decisions they make. And regardless of whether we're standing on the streets and selling the product, that's the service we deliver. So went to business school here at the University of Chicago, which is where I met my co-founder. And it's been, I was mentioning to someone earlier, it's been technically 3 years of working on Power2Switch, but it feels like 20. Feels like 20, but wouldn't trade it though.
Very cool. So, one of your team members or a couple of your team members are here with us. So tell us a little bit about that. So you've got this spark of an idea, pun intended, and so you're going to booth and you meet some other folks. What was it that attracted you to your co-founder? Like, what were you in need of, or what were you looking for that complemented you?
So I got it absolutely wrong the first time with building a team. I kid you not, the first thing I did when I started to think, you know what, I need a team, was go into the student directory and type in electricity. And so everyone who came up vetted them, and I thought I was vetted them to see what expertise they had. So she'd, in some random way, sold something to a utility. I'm like, she knows what she's doing. I emailed her, would you work with me? He consulted for a firm that has a utility arm, even though he's never worked with that arm. He might have an idea, and got about 6 people together, and it was a train wreck. It was, because we didn't share anything. It was a train wreck, we didn't share anything. Phil, my co-founder, was working on his business idea with his team, and they had a good team, but the idea wasn't, they didn't fully believe in the idea, and the power of that is just something one shouldn't underestimate, belief in the idea. They didn't quite believe, so it didn't go anywhere. I say they didn't quite believe because their idea is now what is quirky. Have you all heard of quirky?
You guys know Quirky?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've raised about 60 million from Andreson Horowitz, partnering with G and stuff. And that was Phil's idea. And I still think it would have gone somewhere with him in charge, because Phil, as the team know, we're almost the same person, but he's the pragmatist and we can jump and something will save us when we land.
Yeah.
And so that didn't work out with the first team. One of the classic stories of that team, we were doing the business line competition at Booth, and we had our final presentation to get into the finals on a Monday. The Sunday night, when we were supposed to be working on our pitch deck and really just honing things and trying to make sure we got into the finals where we would get an opportunity to maybe win some money, we were arguing about equity.
Wow. Yeah, that's not good.
It was, so by the time we presented on Monday, you could tell there was something off. We didn't make the finals, it was no surprise to us. The team, everyone went their separate ways. Phil's team, everyone went their separate ways. Excuse me. And in second year, we started to work together.
Got it.
Because they also had a bit of an issue when they were presenting during the competition. But Phil had stood there, they were getting hammered by the judges. But he, at no point did he turn and blame anyone. One of the guys on his team actually claimed he'd lost his voice. And Phil was standing there thinking, well, guess we're not making the finals, but I will hold my head high. And that stayed with me. It's still one of, I think it was the moment I was like, you know what, I will work with this guy at some point. So, and we both had those experiences, so everyone we engaged with beyond that point to bring on the team, Suzanne, Mathia, the required level of expertise was there, but it was more about, do you have a shared vision? Do you share our vision for this business? Do you feel as passionately about educating people? It's energy, but do you feel passionate about helping people make better decisions?
Yeah.
And across the board, everyone on the team right now, that is the one thread. The value system is shared. We all have our different fields of expertise, but it's the thread is the shared value system.
Yeah.
Regardless of what it is you're doing. In my opinion, if that doesn't exist, you're setting yourself up for conversations about equity when there's no business, for example.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah.